My name is Mike, and I'm the Bowtie Guy. I'm here today to help you confront what many students consider to be the most intimidating part of their college career, their math classes. I'm going to start today by confronting head-on one of the most persistent myths that occurs in higher education, the myth of the math person. The students tell this tale in many different forms. Sometimes they might say, for example, my brother is the brains in the family, or perhaps they say, I'm more of an English and writing person myself. Sometimes they just say it directly, though. I'm not a math person. A lot of students think that way. What all of these myths have in common is that they assume that somewhere out there exists this mythological math person, a person with brains and smarts, who automatically thinks in numbers like the rest of us can read words. Unfortunately, there's no such thing. Yes, they live out at the pot of gold at the foot of the rainbow with a pack of unicorns and Sasquatch. It doesn't exist. Even Einstein had to learn to count somewhere. This myth actually has an interesting history. Carl Jung came out with his history of types, and with that, the Myers-Briggs personality types, the MBTI personality profile, took off, and ever since then, psychologists have been putting people in the boxes. That's where it comes from. Unfortunately, this model of a simple lever or a box of people who are or are not math people, greatly oversimplifies the complicated psychological processes that go on in your head when you try to learn a new concept, especially a concept as complex and involved as mathematics. Instead of this model of you either are or are not a math person, a better example is to think of your muscles. For example, if I walk into the gym right now with these puppies, yeah, small arms, I could bench press about 100 pounds. On the other hand, Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime could walk into a gym and bench press about 400 pounds. That's absolutely absurd. And he could do it, not because Arnold Schwarzenegger was fundamentally some muscle guy and I'm not a muscle guy. He did it because he'd spent thousands of hours in the gym practicing the right way, preparing and getting stronger. And the same thing, honestly, is true for academic classes. There might be differences in aptitude, but the most important deciding factor when it comes to success in any academic class is the amount of proper practice. Now, proper practice is important. You need to be practicing the right way to learn your subject area. That's where a lot of students have trouble. They're not practicing the way that is appropriate for a class such as mathematics. They don't realize the differences between studying for it and studying for a class like history. That's part of why I'm making these videos. Now, the other thing about this math myth that gets me is that the math myth is actively harmful to students. For the students who consider themselves to be math people, they are convinced that they don't have to work in class because it should be coming easy to them. Unfortunately, sooner or later, their talent's going to run out. Remember, the number one indicator of success is not talent, but in fact, practice. And these students will find themselves soon over their head where they don't know how. On the other hand, for the students who don't consider themselves to be math students, they walk into math classes actively afraid. Now, math anxiety is very real, and it very much exists, and people can be conditioned to have traumatic experiences. But fundamentally, these are students who walk into a class thinking that they won't be able to do it, much less appreciate any of the mathematics that they're going to learn. The fact of the matter is, when a student is having trouble in a math class, typically it is not because their brain cannot fundamentally process mathematical concepts, it's because they're not studying the right way. Tiny changes to the way they study can make a world of difference and make them far more successful in their classes. The key thing is to make sure that they study the right way. That's part of what these videos are going to be showing you about. They're going to show you ways that your brain learns and ways to study to take advantage of that fact. So, that's our goal. That's our plan. Right now, remember this. Nobody is a math person. Until next time, I'm Mike, the Bowtie Guy. Toodaloo.